Everybody has a bigotry of internal commentator in them since birth. You always are commenting on things. You distort the raw reality, the information. So don't believe in things that you think it is. It may not be. You listen to a sound of praise. Maybe it's not a praise to you. You listen to a sound of reprimand. It may not be a reprimand to you. You distorted it. So that's the second state. The third state is purely out of imagination and illusion. What is that? In a dream. You're sitting in there, you were dreaming, or you're sitting in there, you think about yesterday, and it's purely creating images in your mind of yesterday or in a dream that is just out of your illusion and imagination. Those are the three states of the perceived world of your sixth consciousness. And then the most of knowledge. How about the most of knowledge? Most of knowledge is either, now, objects as perceived is regarding externalities. Most of knowledge is regarding the subject, how the subject perceives, from the perspective of the subject. When the subject perceives, if he could be perceiving what? Perceive a direct veridical object, perceiving. So I directly perceive you. I perceive you. So it is a direct veridical or actual perception. And the second one is I know by what? By inference, by postulation, by analysis. So I know, I don't have to actually see something, but I know it. I try to believe it, I try to understand it by what? By inference, by analysis, postulation, logical assumptions. I know. The sixth consciousness functions that way. The sixth consciousness, if through inference, if what is concluded is right, that would be the right inference. If what is concluded actually is wrong, that becomes a fallacy. Right? So it could be a fallacy, it could be a right assumption. And then the third mode of knowledge, you don't actually have to see it. You don't actually have to postulate and analyze it. You believe in a trustworthy source, a saint, a historian, a book that is trustworthy. There are many things you didn't actually see, but you believe it. How about moral nature? Everything has three moral natures that your sixth consciousness perceive. Wholesome, unwholesome, or neutral. Good, bad, or neutral. That embraces everything. It's either good or bad, or not good and not bad. Neither good and neither bad. Is neutral, indeterminate. And then the fourth one with realms of its activity. What is this consciousness, the sixth consciousness, actively involved in? In the three realms. Remember, the whole universe is classified into three levels. Huge, big, enormous levels. The first level is the realm of, we call it the karma realm, the realm of desires. We have sexual desires, eating desires, sleeping desires, desire for fame, for reputation, for external pursuit of materiality. That is the world we live in, the karma world, the world with desires. And then the second higher level up is, remember, rupa dhatu, without desires, but they still exist as material. They are free from, for example, men and women relationship. They're free. They don't have that desire anymore. Only the lower ends of animals require the man and the woman relationship. The higher level, they don't need it anymore. They're in a much higher wisdom, much higher spirituality. They are in the rupa dhatu level. They live for many, many millions of years. And another higher level is material don't even exist. That is called arupa dhatu. No more material exists. Only consciousness left. Can you imagine these three levels? So the sixth consciousness work and function in all the three levels. Remember the first five consciousnesses only function in the lower level. Even the mouth, the tongue, and the nose, they don't exist in the first dhyana. Remember that? We already have analyzed it. All right, next, concomitant mental functions. There are 51 concomitant mental functions. The first 5 consciousnesses only have 34, but the 6th consciousness has all the concomitant mental functions in it. For example, greediness, hatred, depression, jealousy, all of them. The 51 of them, we analyzed them in detail already. So I'm not going to go back to that, but 51 concomitant mental functions. 6, there must be conditions and causes for the 6th consciousness to be active. This represents first consciousness, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body. The 6th, the thinking consciousness. The 7th, ego consciousness. The 8th, the storage, the alaya consciousness. So the 6th consciousness, if you look down, what are the necessary conditions for it? Seats and spaces, that means there must be latent energy for the 6th consciousness to work. That is seats, we call them seats, a latent hidden energy, like seeds in the soil. So that must be a condition. The second condition is uninterrupted succession of causation. The first thought must make way for the second thought to come up. If I'm thinking of an unwholesome thought, if I persist in an unwholesome thought, if the unwholesome thought do not give up the unwholesome thought and give way for the wholesome thought cannot take over. So there must be an uninterrupted succession of causation for the thought to come up. Object, there must be external objects. Sense organs, for the 6th consciousness, somebody said it could be the brain. Yeah, the brain is only a part of it. So we do not put down sense organ as the sense organ for the 6th consciousness. Because the 6th consciousness requires many organs combined to work. Space, your 6th consciousness do not require space because it's invisible. Light, your 6th consciousness do not require light. Attention, yes, your 6th consciousness requires attention. Basis of cognition, we don't put the brain in there as the basis of cognitions because this 6th consciousness requires all the body to work in order to be effective. And brain is only one part of it. But brain, of course, plays the important part. Now, and also this basis of cognition is the 6th consciousness in itself. So it is not a required condition. It itself is the basis of cognition. So you don't write down that as a necessary condition. Basis of defilement and purity, you need that. That is the ego consciousness. The 6th consciousness is directly interacting with the ego consciousness. Your ego and the 6th consciousness work together. It's just like the manager and the directors are always working together. If you call the manager the executive director is always working with other directors. They cannot be detached from the board of directors. I'm using the company as an example. The one who is functioning the company, the general director, the manager, or the executive director, always need the board of directors to work. Who's going to pay them? The board of directors, right? So they need the basis of defilement or purity. They need the ego consciousness. And the ego consciousness, which is the board of directors, care only for the profit, only for its own ego. Unless it's a charity organization where they claim that it's just not for self-interest pursuit. But usually, the board of directors is egoistic. I'm giving you an example because it only concerns the interest of its own company. All right? Just as an example, using a company as an example. Fundamental basis, that is a storage alaya consciousness. It needs the fundamental alaya consciousness to work. And that alaya consciousness is the consciousness that reincarnates. So after everything is gone, that fundamental basis roll into the next life. That is the alaya consciousness, the 8th consciousness. This basis of defilement and purity is the 7th consciousness, and fundamental basis is the 8th consciousness that we have not yet touched on. We will be talking about it. I'm still concentrating on the 6th consciousness. All right, so that's the necessary conditions getting back to this. How does each consciousness function? We already have explained that. It cognizes with the ego consciousness, and the ego consciousness also interact with the 8th consciousness. And the 6th consciousness is also working simultaneously with the first 5. What are the first 5? The ears, the nose, the tongue, the body, etc., etc. All right. So we already have known how does each consciousness function, the 6th consciousness function. Spiritual transformation towards enlightenment. Now we've been talking about this. How do we transform the 6th consciousness into wisdom? How do we transform that? That's concerns about the whole the Buddha's whole teaching. But I'm just bringing out the 37 factors of enlightenment as guidelines. So we've been talking about those guidelines, the 37 factors of enlightenment. We've been talking on the guidelines since about 3-4 sessions ago. Let's take a look at those guidelines again. These are the guidelines for the 6th consciousness to work towards. If you have chosen to purify your 6th consciousness, if you have chosen to walk the Buddha's path, if you have chosen to walk the unwholesome, miserable path, then this is not the path. It's your choice. You want to be a saint or you want to be a criminal. It's your choice. So if you want to work towards the saintly pursuit of enlightenment, then these are the 37 guidelines. The 4 contemplations, the 4 right endeavors, the 4 requisites for achieving dhyana, the 5 spiritual faculties, the 5 spiritual powers. We all have touched on those already. I'm just giving a fast review. And today we're going to talk about the 7 factors of enlightenment. And hopefully we can finish even up to the Noble Eightfold Path. Let's see if we can cover all of it today. The last 2. Altogether we have 37 guidelines only. You really have to get into each one of them. These are the guidelines. It's like a model, a piece of paper where you put these 37 as models on your table. It's guidelines on your table. It's like a compass to your life, that you are following these 37 aids to enlightenment. Let's get to the 7th enlightenment factors. The first one is mindfulness. When the 4 contemplations of mindfulness are developed, the practitioner, you and me, we're a practitioner, must continue to cultivate it further. What are these 4 contemplations of mindfulness? Contemplation of the body, contemplation of feelings, contemplation of thought, and contemplation of all dharmas. We already have got into the detail of these, so that if you forgot about them, get into YouTube. My previous lectures cover them in detail. Contemplation of the body is to curb, to control sensuous desires that is always arousing in us, that is inherent in our 6th, 7th, and 8th consciousness. Contemplation of impurities of the body. I just give you an example. All right, that's mindfulness. The second one is investigation. I'm quoting from a sutra. On whatever occasion abiding thus mindful, the practitioner, you and me, investigates and examines that state with wisdom and embarks on a full inquiry into it. One chooses the most appropriate way according to one's arising conditions. The investigation of state enlightenment factor is aroused in him and he develops it. What is this investigation? Investigation is just like looking for the right methods to enlightenment. That implies that the Buddha has introduced many methods of enlightenment, not only just one method. It's just like there's so many roads leading to Rome. There's so many roads leading to Richmond. There's the longer road, shorter road, traffic congested road, bumpy road. There's not only one road to get into Richmond. You have to pick and choose the road that is the most convenient to you, that's the most appropriate to you. And how many roads are there? I remember I mentioned it in my third lecture. There are basically 10 ways, 10 big roads leading to Rome, leading to Richmond. I already have gone through in detail. For example, one of it is chanting of the Amitabha Sutra. Another road is the Yogacara approach, which is this approach. Another is the esoteric Buddhism. So many of them. I already have mentioned in my third lecture, I remember, about all these roads that one should be taking. Which road is appropriate to you? What is your choice? So even in choosing the right way to enlightenment, the Buddha have introduced many, many methods, not just one method. There's another what do you call, indirect way of saying, it's a democratic way of enlightenment. There's not just one way. If you believe in me, you are okay. If I can bless on you, you're okay. And that's not just that. The Buddha cannot save you. The Buddha can guide you to where you save yourself. Because that Buddha nature is in you, not externally. That God is in you. Don't look for an external God. That God is in you. You determine your own destiny. You choose your own road. If God or Buddha or Bodhisattva can choose the best way for you, He would have told you already. There's only one good, the best road. There's so many roads leading to Rome, not just one. So investigation, try to investigate on it, and once you investigate and try out the best way, stick onto it. I've been always saying that people ask the question of, where should I meditate in my own home? Like, I have a home of 2,000 square feet, for example. I don't know where I should meditate. In my bedroom, in the living room, in the kitchen, out in the backyard. Where would I meditate? Try it out. Try and error. You should meditate in a place where the energy there is the most appropriate for you. I usually try it on my bedroom, choose a certain corner of the bedroom, and then, oh, this doesn't work for me. It's too close to the window. In the wintertime, it's too cold. In the summer, I open the window, it's too breezy. It's too much wind blowing at me. So I don't think it's the best. Well, plus, the light is over there shining on top of me. I tried it out for a few times. I don't feel comfortable. Probably that's not the best energy for you. You pick another one. You pick and choose until you find the most convenient, appropriate, comfortable place for you. And you tried it out, and you really realize the benefit of the energy there. That's you. That way you should. So you investigate by trial and error. Nobody can do it for you. But we can give you general outlines. Don't meditate in front of a window. Don't meditate where there's so much sounds. Don't meditate where there's so many frequencies, like cell phone, TVs, you name it. There's so many radioactivity in there. Your energy is probably not good for you. You tried it out. Don't meditate near a boiler room, an electric room. You've got to try it out. Investigate. That applies not only in where you meditate, which way you should choose to investigate. Which book you should read, you investigate. Which guru you should go to, you should investigate. So it's being a practitioner, it could be a lifetime of learning. Learning is not just one deal, it's a lifetime ongoing process for you. Unless you have to reach that enlightenment, nirvana, where there's no more learning for you. You always are learning before enlightenment. Investigation. But do not attach to the idea of a professional student. So in other words, some people like to be a professional student. They always like, they are studying nerd. They always find all kinds of books and read and read and read and never practice. It's just like you're looking at the maps all the time. You never walked to the forest. You're thinking about going onto a Buddhist temple in Richmond, and you've been talking about that. You have got information. You never get to drive to that temple. You only investigate it in words. Your investigation should include two things. One is theory, the other is practice. Not just about books, tapes. You have to actually do it. Don't about just say, I want to do good. I don't be a nice man. But every act you do is not being nice. I want to be sober. I want to be kind, but you're always drinking. You want to be kind, but you're not compassionate. So you're only talking about it. You never walk the board. You never walk the road. You just talk about it. Investigation is both philosophy and practice. To be a nice man, not just talking about good stuff, you have to do it. Abstain from killing, abstain from lying, abstain from intoxication, abstain from flattery, abstain from cursing. You actually have to do it. Investigation. That includes investigation. And then next, energy. In one who investigates with wisdom, tireless energy is aroused and developed. So after investigation, in the process of investigation, you have to work hard. If you are lazy, you cannot achieve anything. Not just to say the Buddhist practice, the Buddhist teaching. If you are lazy in whatever you're doing, you would never be successful in your job, in your study. And we're always pro to laziness. We always want the comfort of not applying too much effort into it. I know. I have encountered a lot of people who are like that. They only talk about it and they never do it. They don't apply the energy to it. That indicates to me in chanting too. Every time I say, don't just whisper this, Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum. It's sloth, torpor, sluggishness. They never apply themselves in it. You need the energy to go forward. The best employee in a company is the energetic one, not the sluggish one. The best supervisor would know how to direct your energy to the right place. But if you do not have energy at all, the best supervisor said, you will be fired because you don't have any energy. But you apply the wrong energy to the wrong job, to the wrong project, the best supervisor would direct you to the right energy. If he is a good supervisor. Hey Joe, you shouldn't be doing it this way. You know, they should be doing it this way. So he directs you to the right energy. That's the right guru, the right teacher. The right guru, the right teacher should know how to direct your energy to the right place, to the right path. That's what we mean by being a teacher. It's not easy to be a teacher. A teacher is not just like you sit your own sitting and I sit my own sitting, and I don't have to see you. No, you have to direct the energy. So we have to make sure that the energy of every meditator here is right. You know why? If everybody here has the right energy, the energy of compassion, the energy of enlightenment, you reflect on everybody. You reflect on me. So you know how you can render your compassion out? If you're very compassionate in you, I want to bounce the energy to other people. My energy of my consciousness, the energy of my kindness. I haven't done it, but right now I'm compassionate. I want to be kind to all sentient beings. I want to be helpful. I want to be courteous. I want to be polite. I want to contribute. I haven't done it yet, but I have that thought in me, just a thought. And I chant this Om Mani Padme Hum. I'm using this sound as a medium to give it out. So I say Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. I'm actually transmitting my energy out through Om Mani Padme Hum. This is a very energetic guy with energy. On the other hand, there was one guy who said, Om Mani Padme Hum. Why should I do it? I just want to listen. They should sound out and I just listen. They already have expressed their egoistic, selfish behavior in just receiving sound. They're not giving out sound. The more you give, the more it bounces back to you. Try to give. Try to give. Not just, I want to listen. It's good. When I'm listening to it, I feel peaceful. You always want to receive. You don't want to give. Next, joy. In one who has aroused energy, unworldly joy arises and develops. You have aroused your energy, you radiate your energy out, you feel joyful about it because you have given. Always give out more than you received. In your family, if you always think about what did my dad give me, what did my mom give me, what did brothers and sisters give me, do they contribute in the family? If they don't contribute, why should I contribute? You're not giving out. You're always calculating. You always give out the joy. Give it out. To your family, to your friends, to your company. If you're always thinking about giving out to your company, you must be a good employee. If you're always thinking about, hey, how much the company gave me? $13 an hour? Why should I work hard? I'm worth 23. They only give me 13. So I just give them 13. They deserve it. They should have given me 23. Now they only give me 13. So I just slack off for a little while. Out of the 8 hours, I slack off for 5 because I'm worth more. You think, what happened to you? You'll be fired. Not very, quite soon. If you are worth $13 an hour and you work as if you're 23, you know what will happen to you? You get a promotion. These guys are not stupid. This boss, supervisor is not stupid. They find someone who works as if they are making 23. They'll bump your salary up because they don't want you to leave. Because they know you're valuable in the company. You're worth a lot in the company. Okay, next, tranquility. In one who is joyful, the body and mind becomes tranquil. So that is the 7 enlightenment factors. Concentration, in one whose body is tranquil, who feels pleasure, the mind becomes still and composed. So if you are always in tranquility, you are always in concentration, you have the joy, then you have equanimity, which is the 7th enlightenment factors. He closely looks on with equanimity at the mind, thus still and composed. Thus equanimity is aroused and developed. So these are the 7 enlightenment factors, which are the guidelines for what? For dhyana, for cultivation of dhyana and wisdom. And in certain instances, in morality too, the cultivation of morality. All right, so next, let's get on to the 8th full path, which is the last 8 guidelines of there's 37 enlightenment factors. The first one is right view. The view based on the understanding of the Four Noble Truths, causation, impermanence, karma, and non-individuality of existence, and so on. In other words, the right view is because in your meditation, or in your daily life, when the erroneous view comes up, you must know what is right and what is wrong. If you think that being selfish is right view, then you cannot have the right view. So you must have some general understanding of certain universal truth in the universe. For example, causation, cause and effect. You must know if you germinate a good cause, good effect will come out. If you germinate a cause of wholesome behavior, the effect of wholesome deeds or benefits will come out. So you must have a general understanding of what is right and what is wrong. What is right and what is wrong to different societies, to different cultures, maybe a little different, but there are certain guidelines. Whatever is not beneficial to others, you're hurting others, that wouldn't be right. You can think about in a forest, of uncivilized forest, killing each other is right, but you know that that is not right. Because humans is in pursuit of safety and security. If you protect your own safety and security at the expense of killing others and injuring others, that would not be a right view. So you should be abstain from killing. So all these, right view, you have to study for it. Next is right thought. Renunciation of craving, hatred, ignorance, renunciation of attachment to the 5 skandhas, maintaining thoughts of compassion and so on. That is the right thought. When every thought comes up, you know you have to identify, is it the right thought? It is a thought of hatred? It is a thought of ignorance? Is it a thought of compassion? How does the thought come out? How does the thought sustain? Should I subdue the thought? If all of a sudden a thought of greediness or hatred comes up to you, you may not notice it. You let it linger. You let the thought becomes a second thought, third thought. For example, a thought of hatred comes up. If you don't subdue it, it will continue to be a second thought, a lingering thought, a third thought, fourth thought, until what? Until the thought picks up momentum. You know, thought is very subtle. If you linger and continue with it, it picks up momentum. In other words, if a thought of hatred arises in you, if you don't control it, it picks up, it continues in the second thought, it picks up momentum as it goes on. When the momentum is so strong, you will perform as volitional action. You will hit the guy that you hate, or you may even commit criminal offense because of that thought. So your thought, if it is not properly handled, becomes extremely dangerous. There was a shootout how many days ago? I don't know. Simply because he hated the society. There may be some thought of hatred hidden in his subconscious. And that thought of hatred picks up momentum because he always continues thinking about it until he performs the volitional behavior of shooting. Maybe I can tell you a little bit more about it. Many years ago, I don't know if you still remember, I remember, maybe about 10, 15 years ago, that in North America, there were parcels in which there were bombs. And when you open the parcels, during those days, we were afraid of opening big parcels because it could explode. It becomes a terror to the society. And how did it get developed? There was a he finished high school at the age of 12, maybe. He went into university at the age of 16. He's a genius in mathematics. He is an absolutely talented in science, especially in mathematics. At the age of 16, he already finished university. At the age of 20, he's already finished his PhD. So at the age of 20, he was a PhD, and his thesis was so well written that professors of mathematics, only around the whole world, only 5 or 6 professors of mathematics completely understood his thesis. They all think that this guy is also talented. At the age of 25, he became a very famous mathematics professor at a very famous Ivy League university. I don't want to mention the name because, why should I mention the name of that university? And then at the age of 26, he quit his job. He went into the forest because what he believed is, I want to return to nature. He was against industrialism. He was against material. He was against how the society was progressing so fast. He was against industrialism and imperialism or capitalism in a certain way. And then he always communicated with his brother while he was in the wood about how he disliked capitalism and the pursuit of material, industrialism, and all that. And then somehow he develops a thought. He created bombs and parcels, and he started to send them around. And the bomb was so designed mathematically that it would explode somehow, explode in a certain way. And then many people get injured. About, I think, 5 people get killed. And everybody was so scared of this bomb parcels. And I don't know, you still remember that? And you still remember that? What do you call that? There was a term. Huh? Unibomber. What? Unibomber. Unibomber. Unit bomber. What do you call it? What do you call it? Unit bomber?
Unit bomber. He was known as that in the central part of North America.
Yeah.
He dispatched his bombs.
He dispatched all these parcels to the post office, and somehow it was designed in such a way that, at a certain time it explodes. And then the police was looking for him. They couldn't find a clue. They haven't got a clue of where this guy is. And finally, somehow his brother, informed the police, and he got caught. And he was sentenced to life imprisonment without parole, because you can't give him parole, because when he paroled out, he could send out bombs again. I think he's still in jail.
He wrote a manifesto.
What?
He wrote a manifesto.
Yeah, I remember. He wrote a manifesto.
His brother recognized the writing style of his brother.
Oh yeah, you knew what happened. Yeah, that person wrote a manifesto, and his brother recognized how the sentences and words were constructed like his brother's words and sentences, and they found him. So you see how dangerous a thought becomes when it's allowed to pick up momentum, a thought of hatred. So why do we do meditation? Control your thought. Don't let the second thought comes out to pick up momentum. Only cultivate good thoughts. All right? So, right speech, right? So, right view, right thought, right speech, avoidance of lying, cursing, tell-telling, and flattery. 4th, right action, restrain from killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct, and misuse of the senses. Talking about the sexual misconduct, people in this world, this common world, always think that sexual conduct is good, is acceptable. Apart from talking about how it deviates into other behaviors, it itself, according to the Buddhist teaching, is responsible for the samsara, the reincarnation. Even if that is not a misconduct, because sometimes we term sexual conduct as between a husband and wife is acceptable. A misconduct is not acceptable. A misconduct is like a relationship other than husband and wife. You got girlfriends, you got fly-by-night relationships, prostitutions, all that. That's misconduct. And this sexual conduct or misconduct, if you look at it analytically, is nothing more than an internal motivation of hormones. It's the hormones, motivations, and reaction. And that stimulates your senses. And the average sentient being is looking for temporary satisfaction of the senses. That's the reason why you're always looking for that. Now, if that sexual behavior or misbehavior is picking up more momentums, it could deviate into many, what do we call that? Deviant behavior, erotic behavior. If that is not under control, it could develop into many misbehavior too. A modern psychologist would tell you more about this. So, right action, right livelihood. So avoidance of occupations that are harmful to sentient beings, such as slaughterer, hunter, a dealer in weaponry, narcotics, and alcohol. Get away from those, because those were involved in a lot of unwholesome karma. For example, in being a hunter, why do you kill for pleasure, for your own pleasure? You know why they kill? They kill because they feel that when they are hunting, they have that agitations of hormones. They feel great about it. And some may even argue that I'm just putting a balance on equilibrium of natural life by killing a leopard or killing a lion or killing a, they think that they're only doing good to nature. Some people argue that way. So, but if you are always killing, you're involved in a lot of bad karmic energy. That may bounce back to you or to your families. I remember when I was studying at Toronto, I rented this basement apartment for three students. Three students rented a basement apartment in a house, not an apartment, a house, basement. I still remember it's $35 per month with a room and a kitchen. And we got three students. I was studying at University of Toronto at that time. And three students share the whole basement. And upstairs was the landlord. And I realized that I was living there for a year and up to 3 or 4 months, and I wonder why was the lady always a very kind, actually, Italian couple, and the lady was always dressing in black. And how come the lady was always dressed in black? He had this charm, a charm in front of her here, hanging in here, a necklace. And in the necklace, there was a little opening in which there was a photograph in there. And later I find out that there was a photograph of her son. And I investigate more about it, and her son died at the age of 15. And I later find out that the husband always wanted to hunt, always hunting. Because when I went up there, I saw the head of a moose, head of a deer hanging on the wall. A moose, a deer, a leopard, all kinds of animals, specimens hanging on the wall. And he liked killing. So the immediate karma is, if you take away the sons and daughters of those poor animals, the karmic energy will take out your own son. All right, so that's right livelihood, right effort, application of diligence, perseverance, and consistency to all the other 7 Eightfold Paths. 7th, right mindfulness, ongoing mindfulness of the body, feeling, mind, and objects of thought. The right meditation. Right concentration, develop samadhi and vipassana towards the 4 dhyanas. So all these are these noble Eightfold Paths. These are the the guidelines when you are working towards enlightenment. The first two is regarding wisdom, cultivation of wisdom, and 3 up to 5 is the cultivation of morality, and right efforts, the 6 to the 7, is the cultivation of meditation. So in the Sanskrit language, the first, we call it wisdom, prajna, morality is sila, meditation is dhyana. So these are the 3 curriculums, we call it, of the Buddhist teaching. Under these 3 curriculums, there's so many courses under it. These are the courses under it, under each curriculum. And the number 6 is worth a little bit mentioning. Right efforts, that means in each curriculum, you need to have the right effort. You need to work hard at it. You have to be diligent in it. You cannot be lazy in doing each curriculum, in doing each course. So the right effort is like a catalyst in a chemical reaction. You call it a catalyst, right? So if you're doing a laboratory experiments, if you put in a catalyst, it speeds up the experiments. So that if you are putting the right, is it called a catalyst? If you're putting the right efforts in it, then it speeds up the momentum. So if you are really diligent in doing it, then you'll be getting to the right path faster, more effectively. So these are the Eightfold Noble Path. So this is the end of this session. I already have finished all the 37 factors of enlightenment, which covers the perspective of how do we transform the 6th consciousness into wisdom, and from wisdom into enlightenment. And basically, I have covered a major portion of the 6th consciousness. And of course, in the verses, there's a lot more detail into it. But I've been talking about this for 2 years already. It's almost close to the end of the year, and I haven't really finished. And the other few days ago, I received some very good comments, email to me from viewers, YouTube viewers. They think that the study of consciousness that I put on is quite useful to them. You can get onto it, but I think that it's a little bit too long and too detailed. So I want to make sure that I only bring out the general outlines without getting too deep in details into it. And if you're getting too detailed, the average reader would be bored by it because there's so much terminology in it. And all the time I have to practically relate to daily lives. Like I'm using examples of companies, examples of daily affairs to explain it. Without those, it would be quite boring because Yogacara Buddhism, it's a psychology that involves a lot of details into the consciousness of sentient beings. But hopefully we can deal with it in a practical way. I still have to cover the 7th consciousness and the 8th. I only have gone through 6 in 2 years, off and on. I think I talk about it for at least 40 hours, 30, 40 hours. And I should slowly streamline it and finish it, hopefully, before the end of the year.